Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is back, everyone, with the one and only Serge Delmar. Serge, I don't know whether to call you Serge Delmar or literally Serge. What should I call you now?
Literally either one.
Well, guys, if you're not yet subscribed to Serge Delmar, aka literally Serge, jump over there and subscribe to his channel. Serge was present at the hearing today. This was the hearing for the anti-SLAPP motion that Scientology had filed to get LEAH Remini's lawsuit against them thrown out. Well, I've heard this hearing was a bit dicey. What happened today?
I mean, it was a little bit dicey. We had 4 attorneys that showed up representing Scientology as usual. There's never a lack of advocates for Scientology. And, you know, they came with a whole like presentation. They had boards, they had explanations, and they really went through every aspect of what was alleged in the lawsuit point by point. And it was actually, I mean, it was very interesting to sit there and hear the arguments being made. And also it was very interesting to hear Scientology attorneys arguing on behalf of Scientology in a Scientology related lawsuit, you know, because the Danny Masterson was not so Scientology related. And this was like, oh, you know, they brought up a lot of like things that the judge wasn't buying. Like there was something that the judge said that we really kind of stuck about how, you know, just because you have a religion doesn't mean that you cannot commit something illegal. And he even brought up, you know, the idea that, you know, a Christian extremist can do something that is illegal, and then not just because they're citing religion, it would be excused. So, and that was sort of like talking about, you know, the harassment and the things that they done as fair game. And you can see Scientology attorneys really trying to backpedal a lot over those practices and really kind of feigning a lot of ignorance, which I'm sure is part of the Scientology, I mean, of the professional of law. You know, it's like, oh, this, but it was just very interesting to see how they position things. And it's also interesting to see like the depth that the judge does know Scientology in a way, but also very, very glib. You know, like there's no real profound understanding of it. He cited L. Ron Hubbard a couple of times about like, you know, but it's just like, it seems like he doesn't really understand what it is. And it's just sort of like, okay, it's a religion. That's it.
So I'll tell you, my understanding is that a judge, and you know, I'll talk to Zach about this more later on, my lawyer friend Zach, a judge is really not supposed to consider anything that hasn't been submitted to him in filings and motions and pleadings by each side, and that a judge isn't even supposed to go and try and understand Scientology any more deeply than what has been presented to him in the filings in the case. And it's interesting because I felt that Judge Charlene Almeida in the Danny Masterson trial seemed to have a pretty deep understanding of Scientology. And it's not against the rules for a judge to have an understanding of Scientology, but it's also not incumbent upon them to go research and study or anything like that. You know what I mean? What were some of your main takeaways from this hearing?
I mean, as you know, and as you guys have probably seen, I did have a little street audit of Scientologist David Miscavige's literal personal RTC attorney. This man has been representing RTC for a very long time. And my biggest kind of shock came at the end when he honestly was talking to the judge. He, you know, for the most part, he was sitting down and he never said anything. But at the end, he was like, talking about, Your Honor, my clients RTC, they actually have nothing to do with overseeing anything, Your Honor. They're just, you know, babysitting L. Ron Hubbard's trademarks. I mean, in what world am I involved in this type of thing? Why is
I'm trying to
RTC?
show your live stream from earlier where you confronted David Miscavige's attorney. I'm going to keep the sound off just so that we can talk
Sure.
over it.
Yeah. So it was sort of like, you know, we just babysit the trademarks of
So-
L. Ron Hubbard, and he wrote so much and he had so many books, and, you know, even the judge said, oh yeah, I heard that he's like the man that's written the most books out of anybody, or something about that. And, you know, he kind of like chuckled and was like, oh, haha, yeah. But this
So
really
that's Robert Mangles.
Yep.
His daughter
is
Kate Mangles, Danny Masterson's attorney, who's in a bit of hot water.
Well, I think today he finds himself in very hot water because, again, you know, these attorneys have never had children that were inside the hotels listening to them on how they're posturing and positioning things. And my own personal opinion, which I also did learn in the court of law of an anti-SLAPP lawsuit. I mean, anti-SLAPP law is actually very advanced law. Like, there's so much you really have to understand. But my takeaway was that, look, we're allowed to have our own opinions and we're allowed to state our own opinions. And the reason that I talked about this man talking about how the trademarks is only the thing that RTC handles, and they don't deal with anything. They're so separate. It's a corporation. It couldn't be more separate. It couldn't have anything to do with anything, right? Because the whole idea was like, he was kind of saying like, we're not OSA. Like, we didn't oversee anything. We just do trademarks. We couldn't be more separate or whatever. And that's the part that really like stuck up for me. I'm like, what did you just say? You just said RTC only handles trademarks, only oversees that. And the judge has to take him at his word, right? Like, his judge is like, well, you're telling me that. You're not going to misrepresent what your client does to me, because you would literally be putting your law license on the line. And I don't know if that's just like a posturing thing, but going back to my post, Aaron, and actually when I wrote down after my encounter, and even after I started talking on my live about what happened, is Marty Rathbun sent the man that was twinned with me in the RPF as a self-admitted you-know-what to the RPF, right? So that's RTC. Angie Trent, the RTC representative, Angie Trent sent me to that prison camp. In what world is sending a minor to a prison camp to be twinned with a self-admitted you-know-what, which was the byproduct of two RTC reps dealing with trademarks? Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, what was trademark about me ending up there in the...
You know what I have? You know what I would like for us to play real quick here?
Yeah.
I have queued up the segment of David Miscavige's interview with Ted Koppel, where he admits to being personally involved in investigations in Scientology. Shall we watch this real quick?
Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. Yep.
Okay.
In their own words, you guys.
Let me get this ready to share. Let's do it this way. Is it working? Is it working? Oh, there it is. Okay, guys, how about we do it this way? Let's go.
There's various complaints here and there, little ones. I always investigate. I'll be the first one to deal with it. I don't mind somebody criticizing a valid fact in Scientology, Ted. I'll be the first one to deal with it. People within the church, there's various complaints here and there, little ones. I always investigate them. But what upsets me is when one of these critics brings this up and your reporter doesn't mention the fact that they are suing, or the fact that they were removed, and I've shown deposition testimony. You see, it's out of the realm of what I'm saying. The fact that another man wanted to kidnap Scientologists, and I showed the documents to your reporter, and he doesn't put them in. My complaint isn't that the people said them. My complaint is that the reporter didn't give the motive, and he should have. He had it available to him, and to not show it makes it seem like these people are objective. You want to go around and check out the controversy. It's created in the media because, Ted, like I said at the beginning of the show, There are 100,000 Scientologists for every one detractor. And when you just show those people, well, they've picked up the lines, they're coordinated.
Okay,
they find
fine. One more
people
time.
within the church. There's various complaints here and there, little ones. I always investigate them. But wait, but what?
I always investigate them. I mean, it must be absolutely maddening. I would be furious if I had to sit there and listen to a non-Scientologist attorney try to convince a judge that RTC doesn't do anything but trademark work. I mean, that's RTC literally micromanages every Sea Org base and every Sea Org organization. It's crazy. Did you feel that LEAH Remini's attorneys did a good job countering that, or what?
Well, no, I mean, LEAH Remini's attorney didn't even know what to say about that, because again, it's like they don't know, right? He just brought up, oh, RTC is a corporation, and it's like he was kind of taking it to this like, oh no, RTC is just a corporation, it handles the trademarks, like. And I don't think that people, again, because that's been very much the whole purpose of having all these like shuffling corporations to create this level of like, wait, what, how? Like, if you've never been inside a hotel where RTC rep office was there with a box asking for asking for things to investigate, right? As we went over in another one of our lives, matters of RTC concerns. They were concerned of any felony that anyone had committed inside the hotel. It's literally still on their website that they're data mining that situation. So to me, it would have been very easy to go, well, Your Honor, their website says that they're very interested in felonies committed. So in what world is a felony committed inside of one of these hotels a trademark situation?
Right.
Because it's just simply not, right? So I just feel like, you know, unfortunately, the courts still have this, you know, we're defending Scientology in good faith, you know, like, okay, they're a religion, give them the benefit of the doubt, they can do whatever, their First Amendment. But those of us who were there with our passports confiscated, with all of the abuses that we brought up, we just know what it is. And
so I got a question for you, Serge. I've heard from some people who were there today that they really didn't think the hearing went very well for LEAH's team. And yet my understanding is that Scientology's anti-SLAPP motion was an effort to get the entire lawsuit thrown out. And it doesn't seem to me like the lawsuit is going to be thrown out. So wouldn't this hearing in that sense have gone well for LEAH's team? What's your sense of that?
well, it's all to be continued, right? So it's all subjective. Did it go really well or badly? I mean, it didn't get thrown out today, so I guess that's okay. But I get that the courts have to, you know, argue both sides. And I did see that the judge was trying to, you know, give the argument to this, give the argument to that, give them time. So I don't know if it's over. I don't think it went the best. You know, there's a lot of things that, again, it's like I only learned from this judge, you know, sort of saying like, you know, the word Nazi was brought up because apparently, you know, something like that had been said in one of the things. And he was like, well, I can call this person a Nazi and people can take it as just my opinion. Like no one's going to it's not going to be proved that it was defamatory. And I know because I've talked to a couple of attorney friends of mine that, you know, that anti-SLAPP and defamation lawsuits are very hard to win. Like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are probably like one of the, you know, more famous wins, but usually it doesn't go like that. So I don't know. I don't know.
Did the judge make any comment about LEAH not being there today?
No.
Okay. I heard something that about that. But that's
I mean,
fine.
I didn't hear it. He might have said something, but no, I didn't hear that. I mean, and I don't know how much, I mean, it would be hard, to be honest. I mean, it's a double-edged sword because it's hard to see your pain be admonished in this clinical way of having opinions, right? Because it's like all of us that have tried to get some justice through these courts have never really achieved that. And there's been so many few instances of even trying. And then to see that there's a lot of things that were stricken out of the lawsuit as originally filed. So that's where I don't know where we're going to really end up, because it felt like there were a lot of things that were struck out and that there's a lot of things that, he was giving some leniency to Leah's attorneys to be like, okay, well, put an argument on that or add more of this to this, and then we'll see you guys all back on Friday. But you didn't get necessarily like the feeling like that, yeah, this was any type of slam dunk,
Right. So what did the judge not issue any ruling at the end of this hearing? Did he say
no.
he's going to issue his ruling later?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything was kind of talked about more, but he knew that he was going to have to do it later. He definitely mentioned that this was like, and he said, I think he's been on the bench for decades, but he was like, this is when he set up his last ruling or whatever he gave them to check out. He said that he spent the most time he's ever spent on anything ever writing this. So you can see the level of scrutiny, and it's not just like another ruling that he typed for himself. Like he really had to like pour himself into it and really write it because he knew he was going to get a lot of pushback, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess we'll have to wait for his ruling. I mean, he already issued his tentative ruling, and out of the 300 or so claims or paragraphs in Leah's lawsuit, his tentative ruling was only going to strike about 25 of those. So what's that? 7 or 8% of the claims were going to be removed, which I don't know. To me as a layman, that seems like it's still a victory for Leah. It seems like the lawsuit still moves forward. It still seems like discovery is not far away. Depositions are not far away. But I have to say, maybe we can do another follow-up interview with your husband, Michael, to get some more details later, because I've just been hearing from people who were present that they did not think Leah's team seemed very well prepared on this. And I'd like to understand that better.
Well, in my humble opinion, it was, and it was just a juxtaposition of these 4 Scientology attorneys, compared to one that actually went to the place where all the attorneys said. She did seem to have 2 people behind her, but more like sending her notes and assisting her. I felt she wasn't there with more attorneys that I could tell, at least. And so it did. And again, the Scientology attorneys were very kind of sure of themselves, and they were much more kind of confident. And it feels like the judge, he did hammer them for some stuff. So it wasn't just all roses and peaches for them. But yeah, if I had to put a scale, I would have been like, oh, I think, the attorney for Leah got more heat than the other attorney.
More heat from the judge?
Yeah.
Interesting.
More heat about the lawsuit or the things that are contending.
Right. There is a pretty good chance that I'm going to be able to get all 2.5 hours of the video footage that was shot. There was 1 news camera allowed in the courtroom. I did submit my request to be able to have someone record for me in the courtroom. I did submit it a bit late. I did not get approved ahead of time. But with a retroactive approval, I can actually receive a copy of what was already recorded. So if I can get that footage, I will post it in full on YouTube. Maybe I'll also publish an edited version so that people don't have to sit through 2.5 hours of a hearing. But that would be really interesting. Let's see. That would
really honestly be great, because I feel like people should see what these attorneys are saying on behalf of their client. Right. And that's why we have courts, and that's why it's important to video record it so that everyone can see what's being said in these courts and there's actual transparency. And then everyone can see if this is a fair process or it isn't, because if the process is lopsided or people are not getting a chance to witness it, then they're not able to see how these proceedings work. And so I think that's great. I think it would be very beneficial. I mean, I would watch the whole 2.5 hours again. There's so much to learn. There's so many things that were said. I mean, yeah, there was a lot.
Yeah. Let's see. I saw one question. I forgot to start, but people are asking when I'm going to come to Los Angeles. I'm going to be in Los Angeles this Friday evening and Saturday evening. And we're going to be doing some Scientology audit live streams. What Confident Chris has been doing, what Chris Without a Hellcat has been doing, particularly in terms of the interviews with people on L. Ron Hubbard Boulevard. That's getting me very, very excited. Of course, William Good, Jessica Palmadessa, and the Squirrel. What was the name I pulled up just earlier? The Squirrel Squad. I think they're calling themselves the Squirrel Squad.
Okay.
Gonna have fun on Hollywood Boulevard. By the way, a little technical question here. Is anyone else finding Aaron's screen fuzzy these days compared with guests? Yes. Before, I used to use my phone as my camera right up here, and it had an amazing video quality. There was some sort of a software update, and now I can only get a fisheye lens when I try to use my phone as a camera. I don't understand what's going on. So I'm using my MacBook camera, which is a piece of crap compared to what I would normally use. And that's why my image looks a little fuzzy these days. Okay, well, let's not make this any longer than it has to be. This is my 5th live stream of the day, and I have at least one more to do. So I'm trying not to make them too long. Kay's in the house says, RTC could not be more complicit. Anyone who messed up one of their pet projects were punished horribly, including minors. So proud of you for hounding that corrupt attorney. Yeah. Is Confident Chris the one that went out with you today to the hearing?
Confident Chris and Yanelli. So two people that go and are filming with us.
Okay, cool. And Power Lies to Paralyze. Surge bringing the golden age of reckoning and give him hell. I like that.
Yes. Thank you.
We saw every black thread on Jordan's video. Yeah, well, they sent out a professional crew to my place to film that. So that's why you saw every thread. Okay, guys, we're gonna keep it. We're gonna wrap it up here. No reason to make it any longer than it has to be. Stay tuned, guys. Much more to come on both of our channels. Oh, wait, let me show everyone. Let me send everyone back to your channel one more time here. Bada bing. Bada bing. Go subscribe to Surge, guys. You can find him at Surge Del Mar. His handle is literally Surge. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye-bye.
If you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right